Coach, welcome back to the Mosley Show. It always feels like a lot has transpired since we've talked, but you guys have gotten back. You had a brief setback, 2 straight wins. How are you feeling about things?
Oh, I think when you get to February and you're 5 games away from a championship, and so are a lot of other teams in our league. So I think at this point in the season, being in control of your own destiny is a good thing. And we know we're not the only team in that situation, but it's we know where we're at, and we know what we have to do to get what we want. So grateful to be healthy this time of year, and hopefully this like little break between games allows us to really like lean in for this stretch, because we've got
All right.
5 games in 12 days starting Thursday.
Whoa.
So it will be a unique challenge to finish out the schedule, the regular season.
Gosh, do you feel like that could cut into Mosley Show appearances? That many games?
Oh,
I don't
well,
know.
if you
I hope that doesn't throw us off.
it may.
Yeah, it could. It
3 of
could
them
do
being
it.
on the road, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting what you're doing now. The one loss in that stretch happened on the road, and since we last talked, and that was the game. There's always, when you lose, generally you look at a couple things, and in that game, it was the turnovers, and that's uncharacteristic. I mean, not saying y'all don't have some games, but 30 is way more for you. I mean, that game could have gotten away from you. You were within 5 at one point. I think I remember it being like 53-48 or something. But is there anything like, do you chalk that up because your starting backcourt, I think between them had 11 turnovers in that game? What was your response to that? Is it, hey guys, we're being too careless? Is there something you can do in practice? What did you do to try to get those turnovers down? Because obviously you don't want to show up against a really good team like that.
Yeah, I think first of all, when you look at how West Virginia plays, part of it is just the nature of them being different than anybody we play all season long. Yes, we didn't handle the press well against Texas, a very different press, a very different feel. That was just getting the ball in bounds. I felt like, the pressure in the full court, add that to a little bit of, foul trouble, and we allowed, one of the things about, I think we've averaged 20 turnovers a game against West Virginia in our previous 3 wins against them. I think we had bad turnovers. I think there's good turnovers against them. There's bad turnovers against them. And I thought we had too many live ball turnovers. It was a little bit of a welcome to college basketball for Inez because, she got picked at half court a couple times, and then they drive in and get and ones. And like, we compounded mistakes. Good turnovers, or you travel against it, you get a 10-second backcourt. We had too many live ball turnovers that led directly to points. And then you combine that with giving up 23 offensive rebounds, and you have a recipe to get blown out, which ironically we didn't. But, I certainly think like we did not play great basketball, and I don't think it was relative to our prep. I don't run around saying, oh, we had a great week of practice or we had a poor week of practice, but I did think we had leaned in, and we're doing a good job understanding what the game plan was. But I think when a team that presses smells blood, they got more aggressive, and in the past we've been able to manage it to the point where it gets less aggressive, not more aggressive. And I thought that was our biggest problem, not having really good poise early against it. And then because of that, I thought it amped up, and then I thought they did the best job they've done. And I'll give Mark Kellogg a lot of credit. They did an elite job of mixing defenses. They mixed more man in against us, even on made baskets, dead balls, which they don't normally do. And so like, I think they kept our kids off balance, and so I don't think we did an elite job of executing. So I look at it as West Virginia is not like everybody else, but the physicality, certain things we've got to take away, using retreat dribbles, things like that. But we've got to be more prepared and better to handle it the next time we play them. Should we face them in the Big 12 tournament?
All right, and I mean, like at the end of that game the other night, um, Abraham gives you really good defense. We've talked about this before. The depth on your team is a huge strength, and like you say, you might not always know who's going to be hot, but there's Nelms with 12 in that game the other night, and that's gotta. I just think that's got to be a really nice thing for a coach when even and you got in more foul trouble than you wanted the other night, but you've got big time rebounders, shot blockers, some people you can bring off the bench that can put out fires, that kind of thing. That has to be kind of a comforting feeling for a coach.
Yeah, I mean, we had to, Bugs and Bella seem to get in foul trouble in the same game. That seems to be if one decides to get in foul trouble, the other does as well. And so I thought our double big lineup, whether it was KJ and Kyla, Kayla and Kyla, Kayla and KJ, did a good job holding it down for us, when we did have foul trouble, and giving us different looks. And I thought Kayla gave us a low post presence, came in and immediately scored on a post up, which we don't get enough of, and it's something that we had a year ago in Nettie, but right now, our posts score, and if you combine them, like our posts that play the majority of the minutes and share the minutes at the 5, if you combine their points and rebounds, we get productivity from that position. It just doesn't look like everybody else's, it's rolls, it's rim runs, and so it's offensive rebounding, it's spacing and making threes like KJ did against Iowa State, but like it looks a little different for us. And so, but we need productivity from that position regardless, and we need productivity from Ting. I think Yu Ting is hitting that freshman wall. She's a sophomore. But players that haven't played a full collegiate season, when you get to this month and the wear and tear of, the grind of college sports, and you throw in, we've faced probably the most physical teams in our league back to back to back, in terms of how they guard, whether it's West Virginia, Cincinnati, and then Arizona State might be the most physical team in the league. It takes a toll. And so, I think our bench needs to be a strength of ours. I think at times it has been and at times it hasn't, but I certainly think we have pieces that can help us win basketball games, and they're always going to get opportunity. It's a matter of them taking advantage of the opportunity when they get it.
Jana is such a leader for you, and she's kind of an extension of you on the court. Is she just someone? Do you even have to when she has a game? She had a game 3 games ago. She didn't score, and then she comes back, and here recently it's like 19, 17. Is she someone that just is just naturally confident, and you don't really have to say something after she has a game like that, or do you kind of have to kind of work her through it and build her back up? What is she like from a psyche standpoint when she has a game like that? And is she able, when she's not scoring, to still do all the other things you need her to do?
Yeah, I think it depends on the game. I think she's a resilient kid. I think she's also someone that's never been in this type of position, in February, leading a team, competing for a championship. So she needs grace. She needs grace to have the games where she struggles. I mean, you think about the struggle in that game. I think she was uber confident going into the West Virginia game. I think she'd prepared well, and then she struggled. She struggled with the pressure. She has to learn to back up and go forward. Everything can't be forward and sideways. Great point guards like see traps coming, retreat, dribble, create space, move the ball. So that was a unique challenge for her. I thought her response against Cincinnati, which her career high was at Cincinnati 2 years before that, and they played zone. Even though they're physical, they played zone. She hit some shots early, got better as the game went along in terms of managing the game, what was there, what wasn't there against their matchup zone. So she needs a lot of grace still to learn, and it's a question of, it's never a question of effort. She's always going to give great effort, but she absolutely, there are very few players today that don't need love and attention when they struggle. They're just, I don't know that exists in college sports generationally these days. Like, gone are the days of like the coaches that yell and scream, and it was all, when I used to get called names and all the things, like, believe me, I wanted to cry, but it was like my coach was never going to see me cry. Didn't mean I didn't leave the gym and cry, but no one was going to see it. That's not how these guys were raised. They're raised to show emotion, to be okay with emotion, and there's good and bad about that on both sides of it. But Jana's an emotional kid and an adult. I shouldn't call her a kid. They're all kids to me still. But I think what she is she wants to be great. She's gonna work. She doesn't like to fail. And so, does she know everything? No. Like I think she loves the situation she's in terms of the opportunity and all of that. But that doesn't mean there's not a lot of pressure. And at times pressure can be really emotional. But I thought her response was really good against Cincinnati. I thought she was really good against Arizona State. And then she had some moments late that I thought she rushed things or didn't trust or wasn't aggressive enough. And so finding that balance of when do I need to get the ball for my team and create a shot for somebody else? When can I defer to Talia? When can I, because their teams are working really hard to make Talia's touches hard, to make it. And so sometimes we need everybody else to step up a little bit more because of the attention that Talia is getting on everybody's scouting report and in their game plan.
All right. In the WNBA, did you guys the last time you were there, had y'all started doing any load management like the NBA, or was that a little bit or not that much?
I would say when I left the league, it was starting to happen. Not at the level, it is in the NBA, not, Gina Oriema, like load managing Sarah Strong and giving her rest last weekend. But I think it was starting to be a thing. But we also were playing 34 game schedules, and we would maybe have one back to back. The toughest stretch we had when I was coaching in the league was 6 games in 9 days, which was absolutely absurd. And we finished that with a back-to-back home in Atlanta on a Saturday afternoon in New York City. And at that point, it wasn't New York. That year we were playing in Westchester on Sunday at 2. And I remember we were playing elite basketball, and we had won 5 in a row in that stretch. And so we go to New York for that last game, and New York's just playing a sagging zone, and we're just a mess. And I remember like Westchester, where the G League team played there, like the locker room is upstairs. Like it is the craziest venue. And so I'm upstairs at halftime, and I'm like, look, you guys, if we come back in this game, I'm giving you 3 days off. And we erased a 16-point deficit in about 4.5 minutes and ended up beating New York, like going away by 20 because of that. But I think you're starting to see it more in the league just because they're going to 40+ game schedules. They are chartering now, which makes it a lot different, but there are a few more back-to-backs because of that. And if players are going to get paid more, they got to probably play in more games, which allows them to drive more tickets, all of those things. So it wasn't as big of a thing. You had players like Candace Parker that had had a bad knee, and at some point in her career, you kind of question, is she going to play today? Is she going to not play tomorrow? But it was very driven by her body. Like, I don't think it was just, hey, we're resting her so she doesn't get hurt. It's like, okay, we traveled. Did her knee swell up or didn't it swell up? So it was a thing, but not like it is now.
It is leaking into. You just mentioned one instance on the guys' side. This Darren Peterson thing's become such a huge story, and it's hard for me to remember a situation like this where there's a star player and they never know when he might just decide to not play the second half, or he might tell the coach, right before the game he's not feeling well. And so, I just kind of wondered if all your time in basket, if you'd ever had like a star. You did have some star players right when you got to Baylor, and you've coached some stars, obviously in the WNBA. But I can't. This is
I've had
new.
players that didn't really want to practice, but not that didn't want
Yeah.
to play in didn't want to play in games, like they would have been fine load managing in practice, but more the Allen Iverson practice thing rather than games. So no, I don't
Yeah.
think, obviously culturally, it's just not something that we plan to deal with. I certainly think
Yeah.
if you have opportunity, I mean, Gino even said with Sarah Strong, like she could have played,
Yeah.
but if we're going to win by 50 without her, like not many teams have the luxury of an early February game that when you step out on the court that you're going to win if you sit your best player. Like that's just
Hmm.
not feasible for the majority of teams. And you talk about Darren Peterson, I mean, end of the Texas Tech game, like, he hadn't done a whole lot, but hits back-to-back threes
Yes.
and puts the game away. I think that's I wouldn't want to be in Bill Self's situation. And I don't know any of the particulars around that other
Yeah.
than, is he cramping? Is he not? Is he, I've like heard the dialogue, but
Yeah.
probably only people on the inside know. And we haven't seen deputy ADs on sidelines talking to players in the past. Like I think it's a different time. It's a different time.
Hmm.
Money has infiltrated our sport. Gambling has infiltrated our sport. It is what it is. There's good and there's bad to everything, and we're just all learning to manage it, in real
Yeah.
time. Like there's no roadmap. There's no roadmap for what's, kind of going on in college sports right now.
I mean, if one of those freshmen told Scott Drew tonight that he couldn't play, Baylor'd have to forfeit. They're down to okay, we can't play. That is yeah. That's an interesting. You're right. It's interesting. Could you maybe tell your players before Thursday night's game? I'm going to give you if you guys will give me everything, I'll give you several days off.
Hey, there is always a time and the place for that, but probably not when we have 5 games in 12 days.
That's true. That's true.
3 of those games against teams that we're truly competing against to win a championship. So.
Yeah.
But there is no doubt a day off or a team dessert are massive motivators for our group.
Okay, what I want to hear your thoughts on this TCU team. Obviously, they have a star player in the past. They've really at one point he brought in 3 scorers. What are you seeing from this team? We got 2 ranked teams. Should be a great matchup. And like, do you say to your team, hey, I don't, do you deal with the fact that they took a couple from you in a row, or do you not even kind of use that as motivation? I mean, obviously you have several players that have been part of that. Do you even bring that up with them, or are they mad about that enough on their own that doesn't really have to come up in conversation?
Yeah, that's not going to be a motivator for us.
Okay.
I certainly think, a year ago we had 2 chances against them to win a regular season and a tournament championship, and we didn't get it done. And they're a different team and we're a different team, realistically. I mean, when we were playing through Nettie a year ago versus, Haley Van Lith and Olivia Miles are not the same players. They're both very, very good. They're still a bit of a 3-headed monster. Their 3 heads look different, and sometimes people miss the 3rd one. But Olivia Miles is elite. She's an elite scorer. She's an elite passer. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the women's game put the ball on time and on target with her offhand as well as she does. Like some of the things she does, she's truly a magician with the ball. Like it's physically and just what she sees. I mean, elite point guards can throw people open. She sees it before they see it, and if you get to your spots, she's special. The way she can accelerate and transition, is impressive. So I think it starts obviously with her, and she's a very different primary ball handler than Haley Van Lith, who was elite in the mid range and getting to the foul line, and their games are very different. I think everyone thought the three-headed monster was going to be Suarez and Silva, and it's really turned into Suarez and Donovan Hunter, and Donovan Hunter being the unsung hero, but a kid who makes open shots, is their third leading scorer, is a good straight line driver. So very different than a Madison Connor, though she makes threes. Like, she's their best defender. And then Suarez gives them that four player that can post up a smaller forward and shoots the heck out of the three ball and can pick and pop and make threes all day. And is also like the consistency of the two TCU teams is they're the oldest teams in the country. A year ago they were, this year they are. Maddie Shear, sixth year senior, Miles, fifth year, Big B, fifth year. Like they have so many seasoned players. But then you still throw in a 6'7" player in the middle who maybe doesn't score, facilitate the same way that Sedona Prince does, but is an elite rim protector and can score on the low block and is just a sophomore. So they get to build around for the next couple of years. And so, they're deeper than maybe they play at times. So they're really talented. He does an elite job in the portal, and he does an elite job of getting a lot out of their best players. Their offensive numbers are pretty staggering. They're elite offensively. And I say that, and they might still be leading the Big 12 in points per game on the defensive side. But when you look at them and you see what they're capable on offense, like, that's where your mind goes to. And UConn's the same way. UConn's one of those teams that everyone watches their player movement and ball movement and spacing and says, wow, what a fun team to watch. And yet year in and year out, their defense is one of the best defenses in the country.
Is she the best player you've ever seen that wears goggles? Who's the best? I think it. I think of like.
It's funny. I have more of a memory of the first player because, like, I feel like generationally, as a Celtic fan, we all used to make fun of Kurt Rambis. Right?
Yeah, it was something about the hair and the mustache, and it was just the whole thing.
Yeah, maybe. I think she's she's elite with the ball in her hands. There's she's fun to watch.
I know what you're saying.
Our fans will enjoy watching her play basketball.
Watching y'all shut her down.
That will be the goal.
Speaking of the thing, or like the other night, the one player went off, but if you can kind of let one player go off and try to shut everybody else down, sometimes that's that's
it. I'm not giving you the game plan on here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to get clues. I know what you're saying though. I love the off ball. Luka can do it. Baylor had a player named Ray J. Dennis who had this sort of unbelievable ability. I love it when people with their offhand can take the ball and whip it like 30 feet, and it's just
on time and on target.
Yes.
She can be on the hash on the sideline and throw the ball to the opposite corner with her left hand and hit their shooters in their shooting pocket on a line. Like it's impressive. It's really, really impressive.
All right. Last thing I had for you. So does your high school recruiting, has the portal changed the way you approach it at all? I mean, are you still all the same travel, all the AAU circuit? Y'all just, and you can't comment on her, but y'all just signed like a big time top 25 AAU. I did kind of check in on where she plays her AAU and know one of her teammates is, I think, from Louisiana. That's like 6'5", but you got like a big time player. But is it all the same? Do you still pour every bit of resources and travel into the high school circuit, even though you need to go after the portal? I mean, how much has that changed?
Yeah, it's a balance, but I certainly think I think what teams are deciding is the financial investment in freshman versus portal. And I think that's what everyone's trying to figure out right now. And there are teams that um maybe don't have to figure it out. Maybe they just have more money. And so they can do whatever they want. But I think when you're trying to balance a budget relative to your rev share numbers and whatever, we want to continue to recruit great high school players. Like I think part of what people love about our team is watching Bella and Bugs grow up in our program and feeling connected. Women's basketball is still very grassroots. Our fans still want to get to know our players, and it's harder to do that if they're 1-year players. They Baylor gets into people, and I think that idea of players that come here and want a Baylor education and all the stuff outside of just basketball is really important to our fan base. And so, we do both, and certainly we want to sign great high school players. We brought in a lot of great high school players this fall. Maybe we didn't make enough of a financial commitment, to sign some of them. And that's the delicate balance, of figuring out how you're going to allocate what you have, and continue to meet the expectation. Like nobody thinks Baylor shouldn't compete at the highest level in men's and women's basketball. And therefore, we have to think realistically about what's the best way to do that. And it's so, I mean, we are still, we're still on the phone with the best players in the 27 class. You talked about the commit, which obviously can't talk about, but we are continuing to and talk to those kids about how their commitments impact what we do in the portal, because there are kids good enough that you're like, absolutely, like I will not go sign someone at that position because you are going to be ready. Because if you don't play good freshmen, they won't be there. They won't be here anyway. Yeah. So you have, like, to me, how has it changed? I'm only going to recruit freshmen that I believe can come in and play. Yeah. Markayla has come in and played, you're going to have a hard time signing top 25 or top 50 freshmen and have them come in and sit on the bench. Like those days are probably gone because of the freedom of movement. People aren't staying. And so, that's where you have to, I draw the line recruiting wise. Do I believe they can come in and impact them? It doesn't mean they start, but can they impact us and get minutes as freshmen? So we're going to recruit kids that we think can do that.
Bill Self said last night, Fog Allen won this game. He actually attributed, I don't know if his players love hearing that, just right after the game to go, the building won this game. But the Foster needs to be packed. I know it will be tonight with Rob Wright. I think fans are going as much to get after him as much to see their own team. But Thursday is it's a huge opportunity for Baylor fans. Do you sense a lot of folks trying to get there, and how much of an impact do you think the fans could have in a game like this?
I mean, you said it. I think, when they interviewed Arizona's coach after the game, he made a statement. He's like, I guess we were supposed to lose here. Like Bill Self is 27-0 on big Mondays at Fog, So, I mean, sometimes I think it's true that the environment is worth 10 points, and it's worth 10 points because of the officiating. It's worth, there's a lot of reasons why, in a close game, and we've played a lot of close games against TCU in the last year, how a crowd can take you over the hump, when whether it's them not getting a play call in, whether it's, just the pressure of the free throws and getting a cupcake, like all those things, I think, starts with our students, and they showed up for our Play for K game on Saturday, which was amazing. But I think this is next level. This is, we're now in this race. I'm calling it 5 games to a championship, and it starts Thursday with TCU. And do I want to win it because of what happened last year? Sure, but every team's different, and I want this team to win it, and I want them to deserve to win it. And I want to put on a good show for the fans. Like I want our players to play well. I want it to be a great game. and I want them to walk away happy, and fans walk away happy when you win, but I certainly think, with it being a gold out tonight for the men, and for whatever reason you come, if you strongly dislike TCU or you just like Baylor, if you want to wear gold and gold's your color, come out for whatever motivates you to be in Foster. Early, we start early on Thursday, so.
Or you just dislike goggles, if you're kind of anti-goggles.
Whatever it
something like
is,
that.
whatever it is,
Oh, those things, I think the real goggles were the ones that had the big band around the back. These are, I don't know.
These
Exactly.
are like
Yeah.
the Oakley version, like.
Correct. I don't know how they
Yeah.
stay on, is what I'm saying. They must have a little band or something back there. But yeah, I got some when I was in intramurals, and I had gone all, contacts, the whole losing contacts during games, everybody looking for my contacts playing high school ball.
Wow.
And I got these goggles when I was a senior at Baylor. And it was like the first time I'd truly seen the rim. Like I suddenly was knocking that shot. Now, in true Mosley fashion, then I met my now wife, and on dates, or we'd be at the library, and I would slip on my goggles. I would actually wear them.
Way to own it. That's leaning in. That's like owning it.
And they ended up damaged, and she's never admitted it, but I do believe she is the one who ended those goggles. It just did not care for that look. Nicki, thank you. Always enjoy it. Look forward to it. It's going to be a great, I think it's going to be a great crowd, great atmosphere Thursday. Best of luck against those Frogs.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.